So we'll go ahead and get started and welcome everybody. I think we should do introductions too. Just because it's been a couple years, we've actually had an electrical board meeting. Got some new members too. So first, I'm Jason Blaze. I'm the City of Boise building official, kind of over all the different trades in the building division.
I'm not Blackford, I'm with legal. I'm Rob Ketchum, Chief Electrical Inspector with the city.
I'm Tiffany. I'm the admin.
I'm Carl Pettick. I work for Quality Electric. I'm our operations manager.
Kelly Lamp with the National Electrical Contractors Association.
Tom Bailey Electric.
Pat, you want to go?
Oh, it's muted.
I think you're still muted there.
I'm Patrick Paz, owner of Paz Electric.
Great, thank you, John.
I'm John Vanstone, owner of Electrical Engineering Company. I'm an electrical engineer.
Great, thank you. So yeah, if you want to go ahead, call the meeting to order and run through we've got a script there for you. Run through the agenda.
Call the meeting to order. Guess we've already done roll call, right? So, one part.
Pretty much.
I mean, it's up to you guys.
There's no other participants online.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Introduction. So, you gotta bear with me. This is new to me. Totally, this is alien to me to do this. So I guess the first order of business would be nominate and appoint new board chair. Is that correct?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna step down and I would like to nominate Kelly Lamb as the chairman. And let him take
I would
over.
second that nomination.
You know me, it's the chair. Okay. So we got Tom nominating. And who's second that? Was that Pat? Or John?
John Vanstone.
That was John.
If there's any discussion or anybody else wants to put their name in?
Thanks. Ready.
Maybe we just need a vote then.
Okay, yeah, so. Vote on. Ayes,
All in favor?
favor,
Aye. Aye.
all in favor?
Okay. Looks like Kelly Lamp is the new chair of the electrical board.
All right.
Take over, buddy.
If I could take just a moment of personal privilege, just want to introduce myself to the board. This is the first meeting we've had since I've come on board. So number one, I appreciate the appointment to the board. Also, number two, I really appreciate the opportunity to chair this group. Just a little bit, I guess, about me. Master electrician, been in the industry next or April 12th will be 30 years in the electrical industry. So I myself as our master electrician, yeah, just really appreciate being here. Represent the National Contractors Association, so a great group of contractors out there that I represent as well. Apprenticeship for over 13 years, and I also chair Code Panel 7 of the NEC, and so this has been my first cycle doing that. So that's been a very learning experience for me in that as well. So feel free. I'll try to keep the meeting to order using Robert's Rules of Order. But if anybody, basically says, Kelly, we don't do it that way. Since it's my first meeting, by all means, let me know as we proceed forward. Keep this as orderly as possible. So thanks for the personal privilege. I appreciate that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item we have on the agenda is our meeting minutes from October 9th, 2020. Tiffany has emailed those out to the online participants. I believe there are some copies in the room of those minutes. Since I was not present at that meeting, I'll rely on somebody else after they review the minutes to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Mr. Chair, I think first I want to just run through the agenda items before we get to that.
Okay, yeah, basically an approval of the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So hopefully all of you see the agenda in front of you. Looks like we'll just be looking at some proposed city code amendments today, fee study, and then any other new business that anybody may want to bring up before we adjourn the meeting. Is there any objections to the agenda as presented or modifications felt necessary for the agenda? All right, having seen none, we'll proceed with the agenda as posted. All right, so let's go ahead and proceed to our meeting minutes. Did anybody see any modifications necessary in the minutes? You can remember back that many years ago.
I reviewed the meeting minutes and I think they're accurate from what occurred in the meeting I was present.
Okay, can I get a motion on the floor to approve the previous minutes?
I'll motion that they're approved. John
I thank you for the motion, John. I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Tom, Pat, thank you both for applying the second. Any other discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Minutes will be approved as written. Okay, the next item on the agenda that we have is proposed amendments to Boise City Code. And if I'm not mistaken, this board is charged with approving these, and they'll go to the city council for final approval.
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
And if you can outline those rules for the public meeting, go ahead and read that portion. Do you have that running? That script. Save copy.
Scripts.
It's right here. It's that portion number 3, just outline that. Outline.
there we go. Okay. So, Chair will outline the rules for our public meeting. City team members shall present the proposed changes to city code. The board may ask questions for clarification of city team members regarding specific change proposals in question. The board shall hear any testimony from the public regarding the proposal in question. Each person wishing to testify shall have up to 5 minutes to do so. The board shall deliberate, ask questions, and shall entertain motions from its members as needed. The final decision and recommendation of the board shall be based upon a roll call vote of a majority of board members present at the meeting. The recommendation will be forwarded to the Boise City Council. All right, any questions on the process of holding our public meeting? All right, seeing none. Thank you for that.
Yep.
All right, I think as we go through the proposed rules, we'll go through them section by section for approval. So anything contained under that section will be open to comments, questions. Obviously, our city team members will kind of outline for the board the proposed changes and the reason for the changes. As we see those Title IX Chapter 5 changes in there, I think just one quick clarification at the beginning, that 95.4-41, that change appears later on chronologically in the document. So I think everybody's looking at that very top one. That also does apply further down. So I think we'll just handle that one when we come to it further down the document. Did anybody have any questions on that? As you can see, in bold, it's 95.41, and then we go to 959. The 41 does occur further down, so I don't think we have to address that change at this point. That'll occur later on down in the document. If,
Okay. Are you ready for us to go?
yeah,
over it?
I think so.
All right, we will go over it. Of course, got Rock Hudson here, our chief electrical inspector, to chime in as the expert on electrical. So, yeah, that first one here is just amending the table of contents portion of our city code. We're just adding this word, the two words, and non-compliant.
Oh, okay, that's why it appears, yeah, that's not part.
That's why it's
already in
on there twice.
For the
yes.
table of contents. Thank you
Yep.
for that clarification.
Yep. So there's a couple things that have happened on this next one, 959 deputies. One is, originally we haven't really done a lot of electrical plan review in the past. Until these last recent years, we've actually got positions. And now we do have plans examiners doing electrical review for well, not every job, but a lot of the complex ones, right, Rob?
Yes.
And so in our city code, we never really had the term plans examiners in there for deputies, so we've added that. And the other thing is we've gotten code compliance officers back in planning development services. We used to have them, then they kind of went away into the city clerk's office for a few years. But as of October 1st, we now have code compliance back in our office, so we want to designate them as kind of deputies also. So they can assist us in any of the, worst cases we might have, code compliance. So that's the changes you see in this first section here is getting the plans examiners in here, getting the code compliances officers in here, just kind of designated as deputies. So further down here, as far as qualifications, the state apparently no longer does some of this stuff, right, for certifications and exams. So we just redid the certification here, either through IAEI or ICC as electrical or a master residential. That's for licensing, right?
Correct. Division of Professional Licenses is licensing only, no certification.
Yeah.
Provided by.
They used to do certification, or they not do this to do one?
There used to be a test developed
Yeah,
back when they were the Division of Building
safety. And they got rid of it. Yeah. So they're just going national organizations now for certifications, right? Okay. So we just kind of tweaked that. Just some more clarifying language on adding the plans examiner again in here where it had just inspectors. And that's, you can't have a business as you're acting as an inspector. So we added the plans examiner and the chief inspector was the missing two. So that's in there too. So we cleaned that up. And then just a little more language again on plans examiners and to provide plan review.
Got a quick interjection, I guess, to make here.
Yep.
As we go through here, do you think it would be most appropriate if we handle all these changes with one vote, or should we vote on each section as amended?
I would recommend, we can have comments and questions as we go through each one, but I would recommend the vote at the end. And if you want to modify anything, let us know, with the motion there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, go ahead and proceed.
Because I don't think there's a ton here on this one, on this proposal.
Okay.
So any questions so far or everything?
No, I think if we have any discussion on anybody that might have an issue with anything, then we may revert back and take them section by section, so we don't fail the whole thing.
Yes.
Just by one change that not everybody agrees to. All right,
Correct.
thank you.
Okay, so jumping down to 9.5.19 for permits required. It's like, I think Rock added this language here, right? Demolish or deconstruct.
It must have been Daryl, however, I did find in the 2023 NEC, the Article 90.2C does have the removal of electrical conductors, conduits, equipment, and such in that description as far as the scope of this NEC. So I believe that's why the previous chief had placed this wording in.
Okay. And then jumping down to 9/5/20, work exempt from permit. In item A2. Replacement of branch circuit over current devices at the required capacity, and then there's language added matching the manufacturer or approved listing. Comment on that one?
That's actually. Covered by 110.3. Electrical equipment, we're required to install a list of products, so it's just backing up that code article with ordinance language.
Okay. Down further. This is again, work exempt from permit. This first part A was 1 and 2 family dwellings, but B is now other than 1 and 2 family dwellings. And item 3 was added in here for electrical wiring devices, appliances, apparatus, or equipment operating at less than 25 volts and not capable of supplying 50 watts of energy for a exemption, correct? That's your low voltage.
Correct, there's so many different elements to low voltage wiring these days. From fire alarm to controls to thermostats, things like that. We felt they were covered through those specific disciplines.
And I believe that one was up here in the residential street.
Correct.
It was, but it wasn't in the non-residential for some reason too, so I think it was just missing, right?
Correct.
Okay. So then we renumbered the other things. Jumping down to 9/5/35, inspection and testing. Looks like we just did more clarification language in some of these inspections, so. For temporary service, separate permit is required. That seems to be an issue, right?
It has been an issue, so we added language to the ordinance to clarify.
Approval to connect temporary utility power for construction site service, conference inspection, added a little more clarification for code clarification required. We do require for residential homeowner permits. C, not much change there. D, it's like we added a D, permanent service inspection for approval of permanent utility connection. Clarified the rough-in permanent service for approval to cover and of permanent utility connection. We did just title F here, elevator, escalator, or other inspections. And mostly we're doing residential too, right? On
Yes, the state in their statute exempts residential installations, so here we cover them.
I don't see it a lot, but once in a while.
Yeah, rarely.
And then temporary occupancy inspection, clarified for approval to allow equipment to be moved in and or start personnel training, temporary occupancy of specified areas. We do a lot of those. And final inspection. Just added to complete the permits and or allow permanent occupancy. I just tried to clarify all the inspections a little bit better after each one. And order them, it looks like we moved permanent service up here.
So I've got a question regarding the section 9/5/35. In the previous revision that I've got, each one of these is numbered. And then in here it shows that they've been lettered. But that doesn't show that was a modification or a change in this revision. Do we see any issue with that?
I think it's this way on the city code, however they put it online, probably why.
Okay,
Yeah, we could have had them numbered in a previous version of this before, but the way they presented online, they probably did it with letters, right?
I printed
You got
this
it.
copy of the city ordinance yesterday, and it is indeed lettered.
It's lettered.
oh, okay. Yeah, I think I downloaded the last one from online that I could find.
Oh, in the city code? Or
Yeah,
was it on our website?
it was on the website.
Wonder if it's a bad old one, a bad link on our website.
Possibly.
It could be,
We do have that sometimes.
this says draft 9/29/20.
Yeah,
So it was obviously the last time we revised it. Anyway, yeah, that's the only question I had was those revisions were showing for the addition that I had.
yeah, just to let me know where you found that, so we need to get that fixed.
Okay,
Yeah,
I will do that. All right, that's all the questions I had.
okay. And then move on here to. It's like 9/5/41. This is the criminal penalties, and then we're adding non-compliance. And so this is our, this is our section where people just don't get permits, don't want to get permits, that type of thing where we got to jump to. So because we have code compliance coming back to our section, we're adding sections here. Building division may request assistance from code compliance officers as designated authorized agents of planning development services, director and code official, to gain compliance with this chapter of city code for non-compliant cases. And also adding as one of the options, when there are non-compliant cases, we can record what's called a notice of non-compliance against the property with the Ada County Recorder's Office. And then when compliance is gained, then we get permits, inspections, everything's good. Then we can record a notice of compliance, shows everything is addressed. We do this with the other trades and codes too. Doesn't happen often, but it does work, right? It does work. People don't like their titles tied up, so.
So there is another Boise code that basically authorizes the notice of non-compliance. Okay, so we're just referencing that here.
Yep.
Okay,
We've got it in each trade, the same language straight across in all the different trades. So that's added. And then I think the last one here is 9-550 under special code requirements. We added a section on commercial parking garages. So commercial parking garages open to the elements should be considered as a damp location throughout, with an exception. The ceiling area should be considered protected from the weather, except around the exterior openings. Areas up to 10 feet measured horizontally in all directions from an exterior opening should be considered a damp location. We've had a lot of parking garages, and I think this has been an issue, but this has kind of been what's interpreted, right? So we're putting it in city code. It's kind of instead of an interpretation, we're trying to make it actual code 10 feet away.
Yeah, that's correct. We had multiple parking garages, as you stated, that have been built, wired, conduits added, and then certain inspectors, as they came in through the years that were assigned to the downtown area, always had an issue with this, and it was never written anywhere. That language does follow the definitions of damp location, in our opinion, but indoor connectors and ceiling areas is what we're concerned about. The walls would still be wired in a damp location or wet location wiring method due to the moisture brought down vehicles. That does splash up with the snow and could potentially reach that wiring method. So that's why it only applies to the ceilings. Just trying to get some language written down somewhere to back this up so everybody knows how to treat these areas from here on.
Any questions or comment on that one?
I think the general electrician would read that and say protected from the weather, that essentially means that, a dry location that's not wet or damp. So I think just protected from the weather, I think is going to be a great application there, rather than saying shall be considered a dry location. Just say protected from the weather. I think it's definitely intuitive that would exactly what you mean there.
A lot of the arguments have come from the definition of damp location that has changing from warm to very cold temperature environments, creating condensation, things like this. We felt the ceiling area was pretty much safe for that, but the lower areas would be more subject to condensation buildup. So that was the reason for one of the reasons for the ceiling in Lavini.
And so you can get a lot of blowing rains with the sides,
Correct.
right, those open parking garages.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it all looks great.
Okay, well, that is the conclusion of the proposed amendment, so you have that script document there. Under number 6.
There we go.
If we're basically at B, if there's any further questions from the board, if not, we do need to provide an opportunity for any public testimony. I don't see any public, but we just need to put that in the record.
And no
Okay,
public signed up for testifying as well.
Nobody online.
We did not, I didn't get an email.
is there any questions from the board to the city team and the explanation of the changes as presented?
No, I think they're well explained and I agree with them.
Okay, seeing no board questions, is there any public testimony to be had? Doesn't seem to be anybody in attendance or nobody's notified that they wish to make public testimony. Okay,
So then, yeah, if you could run through the options in number 7 there, there's A, B, C, D.
okay. The chair asks the board to entertain motions for each proposal from its members to take the following action. A, the City of Boise Electrical Code Board of Appeals recommends that the Boise City Council approve and adopt the proposed ordinance amendments. Or B, City of Boise Electrical Code Board of Appeals recommends that the Boise City Council approve and adopt the proposed ordinance amendments with the following changes. Or the Boise City Electrical Building Code Board of Appeals recommends that the Boise City Council deny the proposed ordinance amendments. Or City of Boise Electrical Code Board of Appeals requests that Boise City team set another date and time for a board meeting to discuss additional changes to the proposed ordinance amendments. So those are our options. Either approve with amendments, deny, or set aside another date for further discussion. So given those 4 options to the board, I would entertain a motion on those 4 categories, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve is on the floor. Any second?
I'll second the approval.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Patrick seconded. Carl's motion. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
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 Approve. Oh, all opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries.
Great, thank you.
All right. You all for that. And it looks like on our agenda, we're going to move on to PDS fee study.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we just want to let you know as board, the Planning Development Services Department did hire a firm, their name is Barry Dunn, and they're actively currently conducting a fee study for our department. So they're doing whole building division, they're doing the whole planning division. Basically looking at cost of service, looking at our budgets, looking at our numbers, looking at all our fee schedules, and they'll likely make recommendations for adjustments to different fees and fee schedules or what we're doing if we're not charging fees. We haven't done a formal fee study since about 2009, so we're a little out of date. I think we've done a couple adjustments here and there over a couple of years here and there, but all in all, that's kind of what's going on with the fee study. But we wanted to let you know because it is in progress. We think they'll give us maybe something to look at in February, March. But we should be bringing, if there is fee proposals, we should be bringing like any drafts to this board to have a look at too in the future. So I just want to give you all a heads up on that. And also, if there's anything as contractors, any of you, if you're using our fee schedules, is there anything that needs adjustment or needs, doesn't work very well, or, let us know, just give us comment, because there's some of our trades that have confusion on permitting, right? Like our plumbing, mechanical, I know they have to get one permit for the commercial part and one permit for the multifamily. They don't quite like doing that, but it's kind of the way our fee schedule is set up. So we're looking at making adjustments there. I think how's our electrical on that on the fee schedule? Family, is it
It's straight percentage cost based.
not as many complaints on electrical or like we get on plumbing, mechanical.
Correct.
But anything like that, if you see something on the fee schedule, or even in our system, as you're getting permits through the fees that you're running through them, we can always tweak that, but, we're just kind of running through a fee study and kind of any type of process improvement, or is there a better, easier way to do the fees with our permits on it currently right now? So nothing's set in stone at this point, they're just doing the analysis at this point. Just want to give you all a heads up on that.
Right, I assume this is going to all the different disciplines.
It is.
Okay,
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So every single discipline's running through it. Including our planning department, who the planning's historically been a lot lower too, on getting planning approvals. So we're looking at those two.
quick question for you. With the onboarding of some of the compliance individuals as well as some of the plan review individuals, is that being integrated into the fee study? To say, hey, wait a minute, now we're being a lot more comprehensive on the planning stage of things. RFP is going to be enough.
Yep.
Okay, great.
They are, yeah. They're doing a complete cost of service. And they're even breaking it down by permit and by fee, saying, are you making any money? Are you losing money? Or how much are you lose a percentage of and it varies, right? For some permits, we do lose money on water heaters permits. And there's money maybe on large commercial where maybe some money on bigger things. So there's anything in between too, right? So it's kind of looking at all of those different things and what's the right percentage. Or some of those permits, especially homeowner permits, we want to keep it a little bit lower and encourage people to get permits, right? We don't want to make it so high that nobody gets permits, right? So there's always that gauging of service fees and everything. What can we cover?
Do you know, question if you entertain, for those projects that require, obviously they're more complicated, a little bit more plan review, is this, when they're doing the fee study, is this something where those contractors that are pulling those permits that are complicated enough are going to share the burden of the cost? Or is the burden of cost for the plan review going to go across like all permits? I mean, is there have you given the evaluators kind of a direction of the people who use the service should be paying for the service versus everybody paying for the service when it's only specific to certain projects?
Yeah, they're looking at it right now. They're playing with different percentages to see how we want to cover it.
Okay, all right. So I think that might be a question after the fact.
Yeah.
From this board is who's paying the fees? The people using the service or everybody?
Yeah.
But yet we don't know who's going to be using the service until the plans come in.
Right.
So hopefully, if we front load that question to the reviewers, that we have an answer to that question rather than the fact. So yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure they're going to give us options too, right? They're going to say, here's what you would need to charge for full cost of service. Here's what you would need to charge for these for 50% cost of service, or they're going to give us some different options.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Because I mean, some of our fees are so low. They may recommend like a 20% increase, but it's only like going up $10 or something, right? Because the fee's so low, right? So there's weird things like that.
Okay, yeah. I think that the more that we can convey to our constituents, if there is a proposed increase, is why the increase and how is it structured?
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah.
Another thing, obviously, the cost of living has gone up since 2009. So obviously, everything's a little bit more expensive. So appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the update on that. If you want to comment on anything else, or
No, I think you covered her well.
All right, any other questions from the board or from public comment on the fee study? All right, seeing none. I think that moves on to our next agenda item, for any other new business to be presented. Is there any other items under new business?
Everybody up on the state proposals?
Well, I think after legislative review, what the state may be doing from the electrical board perspective and the proposed rules.
Yeah.
I think there may be some issues where there's some contention,
Mhm.
and so certain rules may not get approved that the electrical board pushes forward.
Yeah.
It seems like.
It's been happening the last 3-4 years in a row, right?
Yes, 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 I think it's really gonna just come down to legislative review and hopefully if they have any issues, there's a collaborative group put together of electrical board members and legislators to come to a conclusion rather than just happen to deny the rules proposed by the electrical board and then the governor have to put in an emergency rule like we've seen in multiple sessions before.
Exactly.
And so, hopefully we're in a collaborative process moving forward. I guess time will have to tell.
Yes, I have heard there could be another statute proposal coming through again. It's tough keeping up on that stuff, but boy, it's.
Yeah, and going back in history, obviously some people on this board have got some longevity. I guess after legislative session, would we need to be prepared to possibly convene this if anything that we have in our rules may conflict with state law?
Yeah.
So.
Luckily, the way we write our trade codes, a lot of it does say adopted as per state. In the building code, we do have to amend a lot more a little bit, when they change those rules, but I think we have a lot of good language. This board and previous boards have said, let's just write our ordinances that say meet state rules and statutes, right? As they come along.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have to make quite as many changes, but definitely it's something to look at. We need to, right?
Yeah, so this board's aware that after legislative session ends, we could be needing to convene to address any issues that may conflict.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes it's good just to discuss them of how you're gonna interpret things, right?
Yeah, especially if we need to give, the Boise City team direction on how we, as the board, would want this proceeded. So, okay, great to know, All right, any other items under new business?
No certain electrical topics out there that are rising to the top or anything? Seems to be going along.
Yeah, most contractors that I hear from and work with, it's more of these state issues than it is Boise City issues. So I think you guys are doing a great job. Now that I know I'm on the board, that may change, but but hopefully they'll convey to me any issues that they've got, and obviously we represent everybody in the industry, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely not hear anything that needs to be modified, changed, or any issues. But I'll definitely, I think everybody here will kind of get the word out on, the online method of getting permits and any hiccups that they may see.
Mhm.
So if we hear any, I encourage the rest of the board, everybody to make sure that they communicate so we can make it better.
There is, want to bring up, solar stuff when we've got the batteries. We're seeing a lot more batteries with the solar. Our fire department, is proposing a little more amendments for protection of the battery systems. Just because of fire stuff, and one of the temporary rules that just went through on the building code, that the governor was signing, they're gonna start requiring a heat detector in all residential garages. I don't know if you guys have heard that.
Have not.
We're waiting for, tell us the governor has signed it, we've been waiting for a month or two. We keep getting told it's gonna get signed, so. That, the board approved that the temporary rule. We're seeing an uptick of these lithium ion battery fires in garages. So the building code board made it to where we use the 5/8 type X chipboard in all cases now, the fire rated chipboard in all the garages, and then they wanted that heat detector. It sounds like the state fire marshal is kind of approving that too.
Okay, because I know that when, as we start seeing these come in, there were some modifications to electrical code. that The state made to say, we're not gonna require you to route the battery conductors outside to an emergency disconnect and then run it back inside.
Mhm.
So I know that was an exclusion that was made in the proposed rules, but I hadn't heard anything. Appreciate that.
So as soon as we hear a word, I guess it becomes temporary rule in effect, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that's when you'll hear about people who have issues with it.
Yeah.
Do you know if in the rule that has, since we're talking dwelling units, that in itself has to be tied in with the smoke detectors for combination alarm throughout the entire
I
premises?
think it does. I'd have to go back and read the exact language.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
It would make sense. That would be the
And that's
case.
where they put it in the code as like a subsection right under the smoke detector section,
Okay,
specifically for the garage.
yeah, so from an electrical standpoint, it'd be, connecting that with the 12-3 with that signaling circuit with the others in. So obviously, unfortunately, when these teams come in, Rock and his team are what I call education by compliance.
You're right.
Right, that they don't realize it until all of a sudden you come back after the fact and did you know you're supposed to have this? So hopefully there's some level of education going out there to those individuals who are putting in battery systems that this is a requirement. All right, any other new business, any other discussion topics? Anybody want to pass a motion to pay a fee when your phone rings during the meeting? We got that in the few roll. Sorry, Tom, three under the bus.
That's all right.
All right, any other new business, any other discussion topics from the board? All right, seeing none, I guess we would entertain a motion to adjourn at 9:42 a.m. on October, what's today? I'm sorry, November. 19th, yeah, thank you. Struggling here. Probably should have just looked at the display right there. So I'm looking to entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Need a second.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Patrick. That was Patrick, right?
Mhm.
Okay, Patrick. All right, motion to adjourn, been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned, 8:43 a.m.